Well, I've been a head football coach for 14 seasons now, and today I'm going to tell you why we always onside kick.
We're not going to get a second chance in the game.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. I've been on the road quite a bit lately for Coach Ed, but it feels good to be back talking some ball. Today's topic's a fun one. We really do pretty much always onside kick, right? That word always, I guess technically we don't always, but for the most part, you could say we always onside kick. Now, there is a rhyme or reason, not rhyme, there is rhyme and reason to why we do it. And today, I want to tell you that because you might think, hey, maybe we should look at this. Maybe we should consider this, right? Well, before I jump in, I want to tell you what I've been producing lately. The last mic'd up practice just came out. Take a look at that from Wahoo, Nebraska. They just won this year their second straight state title. Coach uses a lot of Kenny Simpson's offense, that gun tee stuff, and they were super dynamic and did all sorts of fun things at the end of the practice as they were running their team offense. You could see they just had a lot of wrinkles. Now, this was postseason time. They're getting ready for playoff game number 1, which, of course, so your offense is ready at that point. You've got all the bells and whistles ready, and they certainly did. Smaller school, 300 or 400 kids, but a ton of talent and a really good staff that's been there for a while. So I'd encourage you to check that one out. That one can be found for our members. And I've also been uploading some things that had been lost from the archives. Uploaded these 3 videos from Broomfield High School in Colorado, a trip I took in 2020. So those are available for members as well. Now, if you had any questions about what is Coach Ed, this was what was Chief Pigskin, the website, clinic.chiefpigskin.com. I transformed it to serve all sports. So if you want to see the content that we put online for members, right, everything I produce or have ever produced goes on to Chief Pigskin, the YouTube channel, right? Everything's here. But when I produce now, I put everything on the YouTube channel, and I put it on Coach Ed. And Coach Ed serves all sports. There's stuff, content, culture building content for other sports where you could get, in my opinion, should get your whole school on board, learning, having a growth mindset about being a great coach, right? So now that's all over there. You could get your school to pick that up. And that'll stay over there for like 2 years or so, and then it'll filter back over and it'll always stay on the YouTube channel. So a little brief intro to how it all works. Kind of they're becoming separate, but you will still be able to see anything that I produce over on Coach Ed. So it's just about what's the best way for you to be able to access what we're producing. Man, let's talk onside kicks. Okay, so how did it start? I started because we felt outmanned. Now, this is just a picture of the team that I was coaching, not even the team. This wasn't even while I was there, but that happens to be them. That's where it started way back in 2010. We were on a team, and I could tell we were outmanned. And when you're outmanned, that is when kickoff returns are the most dangerous. You can see that they're hard to cover when you are outmanned. And in the world of high school football, no, it's not as much on TV. In fact, it's not even close to as much on TV. The disparity in athletes. So in high school football, there can be a huge difference in talent level between one team and another. And so, well, I was so anxious to be a head coach when I was younger that who's going to hire you? Well, the teams that have been bad. So I was such a young coach, I was willing to go to teams that had been bad, which meant we had a lot of things working against us. And one was at the time, we're not as strong, not quite as talented because we don't have the numbers that the talented programs have. So I was looking for any and every opportunity to gain an advantage, and I started being very data-driven and trying to find every stone that I could find and turn it over to find an area we could get an advantage. I did run into a coach once upon a time that said something to the extent of, "Coach, you got such big balls." So, pardon my French, but that's what he said. I can't believe you onside kick all the time. And I just thought, well, that's not it at all. Like, it's not that I'm super daring, and it's certainly not that I'm a gambler. It literally is more like this. I'm scared. I'm looking out there, and I'm scared to give up this big play because I know what a strong momentum shift a kickoff return for a touchdown is, right? And that's just a list of the teams that I had coached at, all of which were struggling before we got there. So it really comes down to this. First, it's people, right? If you turn on the TV, those are your kickers. You've got some kid that's one of the best in his state. He can put the ball where you need it. He can do so much with this football, and he can kick it a mile. But at the high school level, you have who you have. And there are many seasons that can go by where you don't have a talented kicker. Now, first of all, we've had one or two very talented kickers. We still onside kicked quite a bit because we weren't, in my opinion, as talented as the teams we were playing. But I have had some talented kickers, so I don't want to say they've all been untalented. But I've had some guys that were just the best of what I had. They would tell you they're not kickers, right? They can't kick everything to the end zone like these Georgia guys. And I also didn't have 11 Division I athletes lined up to defend this kick. I had 7 or 8 exhausted players who were playing both ways, exhausted, and then 2 or 3 sophomores that I thought were just good enough to give us a play. So there's a significant difference from what you're watching on TV and what you play at the high school level. The people aren't the same, and people want to judge the high school game based on Saturday analytics. But it's not Saturday, and I've said that for a long time. I will stand by that, likely for a lot longer time. It's not Saturday, and the game is not the same, and the people I had were not the same. So the kickoff is the one play for them. It's an offensive play for them and a defensive play for me. But it's the one play of the night where I get to choose who's going to carry this ball. It's my choice because I get to tell you who, by kicking it, who I want to be the ball carrier. So if you're going to give me the choice, who am I going to give it to? Would you rather, on an offensive play, make number 58 carry the ball there, or would you take number 2? Well, for me, if I'm going to say I've got one play, a wide open field, and I have to defend somebody, I want 58 to carry it, if you're going to let me choose. So where do most teams put number 58? Yes, he goes up front. And so I want to kick it to the guy that cannot change the momentum of this game. So I greatly value momentum, and you're giving me one play where I get to choose who's going to carry it. Well, I desperately do not want to kick it to your superstar. I don't want to kick it to him. So another thing that has come into play is the fact that we kick from the 40. On TV, they kick from the 35, sometimes the 30. They kick from further back, right? So another reason why Saturday, Sunday analytics don't work. The onside kick, it gets riskier when the tees are further back close to your end zone. Well, in high school football, they're at the 40. Which is awfully close to midfield. And so once we started studying data, what we found is the average starting position, if the average field position when we were kicking it deep, was the minus 38. These are the teams that I was coaching, which we were, again, taking over programs that had struggled. This is our average, and we averaged giving up 2 touchdowns per season. Whereas when we onside kicked, the average starting field position was the minus 48. And we had 3 onside kicks recovered. So I just look at that and I say, I'll give up the 10 yards of field position for the chance to get the ball back and to lower the chance of a kickoff return for a touchdown. That's a trade I'm willing to make. I'm not saying it's the right decision. I'm just saying that's when I looked at it, I said, I like those. I like that trade. I take it. I'll take it. Now, so this is the trade-off. This was my least talented team. So, boys, if you were on this team, I apologize. But it was a tough year for us. And not only it was a tough year, but it also was likely the toughest schedule we had played. So you look, every year, once in a while, you run into a year where you played 3 or 4 hammers, and we played 3 or 4 hammers that were state championship caliber. And so we were vastly outmanned. So this year, I would say wasn't my least talented team. It was the year where we were the most outmanned. So I wanted to take numbers from that year where we were the most outmanned in my 14 years as a head coach. When you look at it, first of all, we only played 8 games because one person forfeited to us. The team had no numbers, so they forfeited to us. So we only played 8 games. And for us, they were kicking off to us. This was the worst we had been, the most outmanned we had ever been. And our average starting field position was the minus 34.7. It includes 9 touchbacks. And we returned 2 that year for touchdown. So it was the kickoff return was our most explosive play of the year. Okay, so that when I look at that and you say, all right, so when you kick to us, our average starting field position was 34. We had a 4.3 chance to return it for a TD and a 0% chance for you to recover it if you're going to kick it deep. But when we kicked off to you, that was this same season on our kickoffs, us onside kicking, the average, again, was 48. That seems to be pretty consistent. 0% chance of return for TD. We allowed 0 returns for TD. And a 15% chance we recovered the onside kick. Now, I don't know why I made this presentation 2 years ago for something else, but I don't know why I didn't write down the number that we recovered, but apparently it was 15%. So, again, just looking at data, I'm not a gambler. I just like these odds. I've watched too many games. Everything and the momentum change when we kick it deep. Now, there are times when we don't onside kick, and these are them, right? We do practice hard at a pop-up to a sideline. I don't want to do it, but we will practice it like crazy for the event we have to have it. For example, we are winning by a ton. Which, yes, there are years where we have struggled, but there's been years where we were awfully good. If we're up big, we're not going to do it. We'll kick it and try to put it in a spot. The wind, when on those years we did have a very talented kicker, the wind was at our back, he could pretty much assure me this was going to be a touchback. Yes, by all means, I'll take a touchback. I'll take it. Put you at the 20? Yes, I will take it. But I have to know that it's going to go there. Because if you just miss and place this high, nice little perfect kick to the 2-yard line, setting up their best return, I don't like it. And last but not least, if there happens to be a situation late in the game, we just took the lead, we're up by 2, 30 seconds to go, I'm likely going to try to place it on that sideline. So that's where I say, okay, it's not technically always, but it's awfully close to always. We want to onside kick. So I hope that was, I don't know, was that worth hearing? That's why we did it. I really still look at the numbers and go, I like those odds. And I even think back to my last season as a head coach, 2023 season. And it was a must-win game for us against a team that we were pretty evenly matched with. And we jumped off to a big lead. We were up, I want to say 28-0, 21-0, something like that. And somebody talked me into kicking deep. I won't blame anybody, but I mean, people are going, Coach, they're doing X, Y, or Z, or let's pin them deep. So we kick it deep. They return it for a touchdown. It was the first time we had kicked deep in 4 or 5 games. They return. It's not like we don't practice it. We practice it like crazy. We kick it deeper. They return it for a touchdown. The momentum of the game completely changes in the second half. They come storming back, and we have to win by stopping their 2-point conversion as time expired. So thank goodness we hung on. But that entire game, I point it back to that one play when everything in the game changed. Because they couldn't, at the time, they really were struggling badly to move the ball. So that's why we always onside kick.